Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I need some serious prayer. So I'm making a lot of art, and I'm back to doing a little bit of Mondrian squares because I had a little frustration with Lego today. I got one submission that's already up on Lego. I got 35 likes so far. I've gotten a lot of connections through my Mondrian art. I hope that there's been a lot of talk about the constitutionality of Trump's tariff. I hope that will end because I got a lot of metal art that I want to do as well. I'm hoping silver prices will crash because I recently learned how to melt silver in a furnace, and I'd like to make some bigger stuff out of that as well. I got a graphite mold of the Ganesh that could probably pour 100 ounces of silver each. It's kind of just awaiting silver prices to crash. I hope to. I have three 1,000 ounce silver bars, but they're harder to liquidate. When you sell them, they generate a lot of paperwork. So I'm hoping to break them apart. Now that I know how to work with smelting silver, I can't wait to do that. I'm thinking the Ganesh would be the ideal thing to make out of them. I've been doing a lot of research about that, but my soul is completely dead. Even with all of these, I don't know what I'm doing. Today I blacked out in the classroom. Mid sentence, just forgot what was going on. I've been I'm going to get into a car accident. Actually, part of the reason I'm even thinking about taking the vacation to Taiwan is that I need a vacation away from driving more than anything else. Right? Going to Taiwan would kind of force that, right? Or Poland, Taiwan or Poland, right? I'm probably going to put the vacation to Wallace on hold because that's a lot more driving than even here. Uh, but my soul is completely dead, even though all my art is up. I don't know if any artists have ever experienced this. My eating habits have uh, taken a huge nosedive. Uh, I had good habits 3 years ago at the prime of my eating disorder recovery. You know, people look at me, and the first thing when I say I used to have a binge eating problem, the first thing people notice when you talk about your eating disorder is you're not overweight, right? And they're like, gee, I wish I could have an eating disorder and look like you, right? No, you don't. And here's why. I teach at Glendale Community College. I used to work at a technology startup. And I don't need to tell you that no matter where you work, right, conflict is everywhere. One moment your boss says something that doesn't really rhyme with what you're hoping to hear, or your students or your clients or whoever you're dealing with, right? Whoever you're dealing with has unpleasant news, right? That happens at every job, right? Usually pretty routinely as well. You don't want to be in the middle of a food craving and right. So, for example, I use right now. I'm using a Windows 11 machine, right? Imagine the computer's busy chugging away at something, and you want to do something crucial, right? You want to buy Bitcoin or buy something that's really volatile, right? Day trade or high frequency trading, right? Do you want to run that when the machine is busy doing something else, right? I didn't think so. Do you want to run that when the machine is RAM is being jammed up by a virus or by adware, or right? Having food noises in the background kind of behaves like that, right? You need to focus on an immediate concern, right? I used to live with, and this is something I'll have to be careful the next time I look for a roommate. I lived with an alcoholic, and so he was constantly angry about stuff, and he made judgment without thinking it through. He couldn't find a box of tissue papers. He got upset. One day, I had accidentally dropped something in a neighbor's yard, and I had to knock on their door, and he got very upset that I even contacted his neighbor. I don't know why. It sounds like what had happened was he and the neighbor had a feud in the past, and he was hoping to not contact them. And The fact that I had to go over to the neighbor's home and knock on the door riled him up, and he refused to listen to any I even offered, why don't the two of us go next door to apologize? Before I could explain how I would like to go next door to it with my roommate to go apologize, he screamed over it. It was like I couldn't talk to him. In retrospect, I should have done more writing, right? But at the time, part of the reason I mishandled everything was that you got to remember, aside from the time I spent sleeping, I was only in the house like an hour, 2 hours awake most days, and usually most of that time was marked by either eating, preparing to eat, food cravings, and all that. And it put a wedge between my logical thoughts. Right? Again, your RAM is being taken up. Right? Imagine you're trying to do your high frequency trading on your phone, but your girlfriend decides to harass you and call you 10 times on the phone, right? Your algorithm's probably going to be all messed up by that, right? That's how my eating disorder was kind of behaving at the time, right? And that's why I need to resolve that. It sounds innocent enough, but not really. A food craving is more than, oh my God, I might put on some weight. I might give myself a heart attack. I might give myself type 2 diabetes. No, that's only half the equation. The other half is that it interrupts with the flow of your RAM, right? For good, important social connections and for your mental health, right? A lot of people don't think about that, right? But as somebody who has a professional job, I can tell you that food cravings are not innocent in terms of how they interact with your social and your mental life, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Peter Dislike Show.